Andrei Kotov was a 48-year-old travel agency owner who's become the latest victim of Russia's intensifying crackdown on LGBTQ plus rights, and his story is emblematic of the state-sanctioned persecution that has escalated under the guise of protecting, quote, traditional values. And the Russian lawmakers, people like Pyotr Tolstoy, the man who looks like a like a warty toad, are proud of this law. This is what is so extraordinary. They whisper in you, they lean over, they whisper in your ear about how they are doing so much to save the family and project an image of a strong society. Kotov ran a travel agency called Men Travel, which organised trips reportedly catering to gay clients. And in a nation where LGBTQ plus advocacy has been criminised since the anti-gay propaganda laws began in 2013 and expanded with brutal efficiency in 2022, Kotov's activities became a target for the state. Accused of organising and participating in extremist activities, his real crime was existing openly in a society increasingly hostile to the gay community. Kotov's arrest in November 2024, where he was accused of planning a gay tour to Egypt, is sort of very, very, very odd. The charges stem from vague accusations under Russia's broad anti-extremism laws, which now equate the international LGBTQ plus movement with terrorist organizations like ISIS. This is an absurdity. In court, Kotov revealed he'd been tortured, beaten and electrocuted by officers to force a confession, and despite this he denied all allegations, maintaining that his trips were ordinary and free of any so-called propaganda. While awaiting trial, Kotov was subjected to further torment in detention. Reports from human rights groups like OVD Info and Gulugu Net detail constant harassment, theft and humiliation at the hands of guards and inmates. This culminated in his death, which Russian authorities have labelled as suicide, an all too convenient explanation given the history of violence and neglect faced by LGBTQ plus detainees in Russia. Kotov's death is not an isolated incident, but part of a broader campaign against LGBTQ plus individuals, legitimizing the laws that have been framed and that are threats to the LGBTQ plus community in Russian society. The 2022 expansion of the anti-gay propaganda law criminalized any public acknowledgement of gay existence, while the Supreme Court's 2023 ruling designated the gay movement, the LGBTQ plus movement, as extremist. This instituted homophobia, and it serves as a chilling mechanism of control, enforcing an oppressive vision of traditional values while silencing dissent. Vladimir Putin has strategically used anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric to consolidate power, framing queer identities as foreign imports, threatening Russia's moral and demographic fabric. And the war in Ukraine has only heightened this narrative, with the Kremlin portraying itself as a bulwark against Western decadence. What I find so extraordinary is there is a biography of Putin which alleges in a 2-page spread that Putin himself is gay. And the person who wrote the biography is still alive and hasn't found a vertical exit out of a top floor window. And that suggests there may be some credibility in the story. And it is extraordinary, quite extraordinary. The international community cannot ignore cases like Kotov's. His story underscores the urgent need for solidarity with LGBTQ plus Russians who face systematic violence and legal erasure in Russia. Human rights organizations must pressure governments and institutions to hold Russia accountable for its blatant violations of basic freedoms. Andrei Kotov's death is a stark reminder of what happens when prejudice is codified into law and hatred is wielded as a political tool. His life and tragic end must not be forgotten. We need to galvanize the fight for justice, for dignity, and for a world where no one suffers persecution for simply being who they are.